So in this video, we're going to look at levels of clinical evidence. There's a video here that you can watch. The levels of clinical evidence are in a pyramid, are listed in a pyramid. And the way it works is that if you see a paper or a study that is a meta-analysis study, that's a very good paper. And if you see a paper and it's an editorial or it's just someone's opinion, and that paper is not so good. So the higher up we go in the pyramid, the stronger, the better, the more credible, the less chance of bias the paper has. So here's a better example of a pyramid. And so we love reading a systematic review. And the last one in the pyramid is the test tube or in vitro research, which we don't love so much. And I'm going to go over all these different types of clinical evidence. So the first one, if we look at the highest peak, it's the systematic review. And what a systematic review is if you look at this picture, what it is basically what the researcher does is they find a study. So they find a topic. So let's say I'm a researcher and I want to research on fluoride. Okay, so I want to research on fluoride, and I go to the search engine and I find lots of research on fluoride. And I find the top 10. I find the best research that's out there. And let's just say I find, for simplicity, let's just say I find the top 4. So in this first study over here, I find, give me 1 second, erase this. I find 100 participants. So this is a study on fluoride. I find 100 participants in this good study. So this is an excellent study that I liked. And when I read this study, I found 100 participants who participated in the fluoride study. In the next study, maybe I found 500 people participating in the fluoride study. The next study, I found 100 people. The next one, I found 500 people. Okay, I mean, I could have 10 boxes if I found 10 studies, but overall, the key thing is that when I combine the results, okay, so when I combine the results and you add up the results, you will get 1,200. So I found 4 papers on fluoride, and those were the top 4 papers on fluoride. And I looked at the number of people that participated in each study, so 100, 500, 100, 500, and I added all these up, and now I got 1,200 people in my combined paper. And that's what a systematic review is. They look at the top papers, and what they do is they add up all the people that participated in those papers, and they add it up here, and they combine the results over here. And so now it's like so many people participated, and that's amazing, because in a systematic review, what happens is it takes all those people and they combine it into one paper and discuss their results here. Remember, when you have more people participating in the study, it's stronger. So one way you can work around it is by finding articles and then putting it over here and combining the results. And when you combine the results, it's known as a systematic review. So when you combine the results and there's no math involved, so it's a qualitative study where maybe they were just interviewing 100 people on fluoride use, interviewing 500 people on fluoride use, and so on. And then they combine the results and they combine it and show different interview quotes, quotations of what people said about fluoride use. That is considered a systematic review. But if they do any math, so let's say they were looking at how many people got cavities, and here let's just say from 100, maybe 20 people got cavities. From 500, let's just say hypothetically 100 people got cavities. 100 people, let's just say 10 people got cavities in this case, and from here 100 people got cavities. So this is math. They figured out, they got a number at the end to show how many people got cavities after fluoride use. So if they get numbers, if they're calculating the number of cavities that people get, that is meta-analysis. So meta-analysis means that math was involved. Okay, they did some math, they did some adding to figure out how many people got cavities. So when you read a paper, if you see numbers, if you see quantitative papers, and it's a systematic review, it's a meta-analysis systematic review to show that numbers were involved. If you see a paper, a systematic review paper, and there are no numbers, it's just words and quotations, then it is just a systematic review. Okay, so a qualitative systematic review, a paper with just words, they don't use any math to combine the findings. So here is an example where a researcher wanted to find out whether if you take aspirin, would you get stomach bleeding? Are you at risk for your stomach to start bleeding? So they did a meta-analysis. So meta-analysis just tells you that they did some math, and they found 24 clinical trials, which means they found 24 studies. So here is 4. I would have to include more boxes, okay, until I hit 24 boxes. So I don't have enough space for that, but imagine there's 24 boxes. So they found 24 studies, and with nearly 66,000 participants. And so when they combined all these participants, over here, they got 66,000 people. So they got from here, the study, they brought the people here. Okay, so they basically took the findings from here and they combined it into this study over here. So they got 66,000 people that participated, and then they did some math and they concluded that if you take aspirin, there is a 2.47% chance that you could get stomach bleeding compared to a placebo. Placebo is basically a drug that has inactive substances. So the participants may think that they're taking aspirin, but really it's a fake drug, and there's no aspirin inside it, but their mind is tricked to think that they're taking aspirin. Okay, so meta-analysis is basically when math is involved. Okay, they did some math. And in this case, they looked at so many studies. There were 66,000 participants, and with those 66,000 participants, they used some statistical methods to come up with the conclusion that 2.47% is the risk found when you take aspirin for stomach bleeding. So let's look at the next part of the pyramid. So we saw systematic review. Now we're looking at randomized controlled trial. And what a randomized controlled trial is that you have a group of people and you randomly divide them into 2 groups. So you randomly divide them into a treatment group and a control group. So I have so many people, I put everyone's name in a hat, I randomly choose people, and let's say I chose this person, and this person randomly got chosen to the treatment group. This person randomly got chosen to the control group. This person also got randomly chosen to the control group. This one went to the treatment group. So it's just random assignment. Now the treatment groups means that this is the group that's getting the treatment. So in this case, this is the group that's going to get the electric toothbrush, because that's what I'm interested in. Okay, so this group is getting the electric toothbrush because I want to see if the electric toothbrush works in reducing plaque. And this group over here is a control group, and these people are just going to continue brushing their teeth with their manual toothbrush. Okay, so they're using the manual toothbrush. Then I follow them up over time. So maybe 6 months later, I tell them to come to me, and I look inside their mouth and I notice that only one person has plaque, but everyone else, their plaques is very minimal. And then again, I look at the control group and I follow them over time, and here I see 3 people have quite a bit of plaque with the manual toothbrush. So now I can conclude that the electric toothbrush is effective because most people don't have plaque. The manual toothbrush isn't as effective because most people do have plaque. So with randomized control trial, you have a group of people that are randomly, and randomly being the key word here, being put into these groups. And when they're being put into these groups, we follow them over time to see the trend.